My family absolutely loves canned pineapple, from eating it plain at dinner to eating it on their pizza, which I know some people have issues with, but my family loves it. And it is so easy to do. All I do is I begin by cutting the top and the bottom off of the pineapple. These poor pineapple got left outside, so they actually got frozen on the outside edge, so I had to cut off a little bit more than I normally would, and that's the next step, is for me to cut off the skin along the side. Then I quarter it, and I go back through in that center section and pull out the core. The core is just a little bit too hard to be canned here. I then cut those quarters into slices, and each slice I cut into 3 or 4 smaller pieces because I like to have fairly small ones. You could crush this if you prefer, but this is my preference. Then I'll just take my pineapple and put it directly into my jars. I need to make sure there's at least a 1/2 inch of headspace, probably a little bit more just because of the sugar that I'm putting in. Then I'll add 3 tablespoons of sugar to each jar. This is what's going to make the syrup. It maintains the flavor and the color as well. I know I used to try and skimp on the sugar because, well, I was trying to be healthier and lower calorie, but sometimes it's just necessary when it comes to food preservation. Then I'll take my hot water and pour it right over the top. It'll help to melt that sugar. And I'll fill this until it's at that 1/2 inch of headspace. When you start it, you have to start kind of slow because it needs time to soak in. A couple of these are having trouble getting past the sugar, and so I just use my chopstick. And then I go back through and I debubble the jars using my plastic chopstick. Sometimes I use a wooden one, but I never use anything that's metal because I don't want to scratch the jars. And this just gets any air bubbles that have been trapped down there out. And then I go back and I fine-tune my headspace. Now I'll use a clean, damp cloth to wipe off the edge of my jars, just in case any of that sugar got on the edge. I don't want it to interfere with the seal. And then I'll put my lids and rings on until they're fingertip tight. Next, I'll process these in the boiling water bath for 15 minutes if I'm at sea level. I'm at 1,200 feet, so I'll do it for 20. But I won't start the timer until after it begins a rapid boil. Now that the timer has gone off, I'll remove the lid. The heat is already off, and I'll let it cool for 5 minutes. I'll then remove them from the canner and place them on a heat-resistant surface about 1 to 2 inches apart. And that just makes it so they can cool down a little bit faster. And then I'll leave them there for 24 hours so that they can get a nice seal. After that, I'll remove the ring, wash off the outside with hot soapy water, and store them in a cool, dry, dark location and use them in the next 1 to 3 years. You can tell that they got a good seal if the middle of the lid is depressed down. If it's not, then I store them in the refrigerator and use them right away. For the canned pineapple, you do want to wait a good 3 to 6 weeks in order for that sugar to get fully absorbed in. If you eat it right away, the ones that are at the bottom will tend to be hyper sweet, whereas the ones that are in the top will taste more like they were just canned in a basic water. When you don't make that syrup separate, it takes a little while for osmosis to get that sugar fully dispersed throughout the whole jar.